want to talk about creationist propaganda. And I came across a great example from a short animated video clip posted by a Twitter account called The Art of Purpose. This is not an obscure account. This person has over 330,000 followers. And we're just going to watch one clip from this video for about 10 seconds and unpack the propaganda in terms of three fallacies.
Did you know over 1,000 scientists like Dr. Günter Beckley and Casey Luskin think evolution has big problems? Why isn't this discussed more in schools instead of teaching evolution as if it's facts? What if evolution is more belief than science?
First of all, just as an aside, it's interesting that when they include the two animated depictions of Gunter Bleckley and Casey Luskin, that they give them a smile like a Cheshire cat, like it makes it look very suspicious. I'm not sure why that is. But here's the central claim of that little bit of propaganda. Did you know over 1,000 scientists think evolution has big problems? Here's the first fallacy. It's fallacy of ambiguity. This is where you use ambiguous language to confuse or mislead an audience. In this case, the ambiguity is between thinking X theory has big problems and thinking X theory is false. One can think a theory has problems while still thinking the theory is true. But this statistic plays on that ambiguity by citing people who may think a theory simply has problems, but still also thinking it's true, and that the benefits of the theory outweigh whatever problems it has. And the truth is, the nature of science is that most scientific theories have quote unquote big problems. This is because science is always a work in progress. The second point, the second fallacy, is the expert fallacy. This is where you assume that expertise in one field equips you to have an informed expert opinion in other fields. Now, there are different ways to count major fields of scientific inquiry. Some are, say, there's 15 fields or 22 fields or more. But regardless, the fact that you have expertise in one field of science doesn't equip you to have expertise in evolution. Just because you have a background in meteorology, for example, and your expertise is on predicting hurricanes, doesn't mean that you have an informed opinion on the evidence for neo-Darwinian biological evolution, for example. So that is a second fallacy. To have a relevant set of experts, you'd have to have people in the relevant scientific fields opining on the theory of evolution, not simply scientists undefined. The third fallacy is my favorite, and in some respects, I think it's the most egregious. And this is an example of confirmation bias. Confirmation bias being where you selectively use evidence in order to, in a way that distorts that evidence and the overall field of evidence in order to support a predetermined conclusion. It's often aligned with motivated reasoning. So let's go back to this claim. Over 1,000 scientists think evolution has big problems. The next question is this: how many scientists are there? Well, that's an interesting question. Let's take a look. When I did a little research on this, I ended up at University College London, one of England's leading research universities. It cites some recent scholarship on how many scholars are being quoted within scientific fields. And then it gives the statistic that I've highlighted here. It says this data ranks the top 100,000 names from the more than 8 million scientists considered to be active worldwide, taking into account 22 scientific fields and 174 subfields. So there are at least 8 million scientists who are currently active. Now, the statistic, the 1,000 scientists in the creationist video doesn't say whether those scientists are currently active. Let's just assume for the sake of simplicity that they are. So then we have 1,000 scientists or over 1,000 scientists that think evolution has big problems. Let's also assume, for the sake of argument, that thinking it has big problems means thinking it's false, which of course we've already noted is not the same thing, but for the sake of argument, let's assume it is. Okay, so over 1,000 scientists think evolution is false, but there are over 8 million currently active scientists in the world. Wow. Let's put that in perspective. That means that 0.0125% of scientists reject evolution, even if we grant the benefit of the doubt to the statistics of the creationist propaganda video. That means that 99.07 no 99.0975% of scientists, or well over 99% of scientists, accept that evolution is true. If you had 1,000 people, well, let's say you had 100 people, and just one person um, said X, and 100 or 99 persons said Y. Who would you be more likely to believe? Assuming the 99 are all credible experts. The standard reasonable approach in life, when you are deferring to expertise, and if you have a modicum of intellectual humility and you're not a specialist yourself in the field, then yes, what you do is you defer to experts. So if you defer to expertise, then you, all things being equal, defer to the expertise where there is the largest critical consensus. Once you get a consensus of well over 99%, uh, more than 8 million yes and 1,000 no, well, then you defer to the 8 million. So I'm actually really thankful for this creation's propaganda video, because once you strip it back, all the propaganda, all the logical fallacies, uh, and you give it even the benefit of the doubt in terms of the claims that it does make, you are still left with an overwhelming consensus of scientists favoring evolution. So thank you very much, Creationist Propaganda Video, for making my conviction in the belief of the common descent of all life forms even stronger than it was before. Thank you.